The Balvenie 21-year-old portwood finish is one of the most expensive 21-year-old whiskies you're going to find in this category. Is it a masterpiece or just marketing brilliance? Welcome back once again, everyone. My name is Wade, and if this is your first time here on McIntyre's Malts, thank you for joining me. It's a pleasure having you along. Today, I wanted to review the Balvenie 21 Portwood finish. It's one of those whiskies that is held on a pedestal and is an iconic whiskey. So what we're going to do is we're going to taste the whiskey. We're going to nose the whiskey, we're going to talk a little bit about it, and ultimately at the end of today's video, I'm going to give you my recommendations as to if I think it's one that you should potentially have on your radar. Why don't I pour a dram of the Balvenie 21 Portwood, and then we can talk a little bit more about the stats, the specs, the cost, and then we'll jump into the nosing. So let me do that now. David Stewart was the malt master at Balvenie. Incredible depth and breadth of experience in the industry. I think something like 60 years. Very well renowned figure in the industry. I believe now his apprentice, Kelsey McKechnie, I think is how you say it, is now the malt master and, leading the charge for Balvenie into the future. It is the 21-year-old finished in portwood port casks, 40% ABV. So let me get the bottle out to show you. This is the presentation box it comes in, and inside you'll see very lovely. I really like the shape of the Balvenie bottles. They're very beautiful. The curve to it, the shape, the sizing, the weight, the neck. I think it's how a whiskey bottle should be. There's something nice about it. There's a lot of different bottles you get nowadays that are dynamic in their marketing approach, right? Like, to me, Scotch and whiskey in general is meant to be an experience. It's elegant. There's a craft. There's something special in the journey that the whiskey has taken to arrive. So I've always liked a whiskey that is presented well, because beyond the nosing, the tasting, the experience, the sight, the visual aspect is also part of the experience. When I go to a store, if a bottle looks cheap or tacky or doesn't give me a certain impression of what that whiskey might offer, oftentimes I'll overlook it. We first buy with our eyes, right? On the bottle itself, we get a bit of a broader tasting note saying a perfume of ripe raisin notes and fruit skins is backed by a dryness with hints of almonds and walnuts. The taste is silky with fruit, syrupy honey sweetness, leather, oak tannins, and notes of ginger and cinnamon. Its finish is long, gentle, and nutty. And then on the back, we've got a condensed version that says characterized by fruit, honey, and spice notes with a gentle nutty finish. Initially, I guess what I'd call my gripe with the Balvenie 21 is at 21 years of age, this whiskey has been in a cask for over 2 decades, and then you go and bottle it at 40% ABV. To me, that feels like blasphemy. It just feels like you waited that long for this whiskey to water it down to the bare minimum offering. Now, a caveat to that, I will say, I have been surprised in the past with whiskies at lower ABVs that is absolutely the right ABV for that whiskey. So I will reserve judgment till we get further through the video, but I do want to call that out. No mention at all of it being natural color. It's absolutely chill filtered as well. And depending on what day of the week you get this, it may cost you $400. So that, to me, already is a big sort of cross against this whiskey, that you're getting the bare minimum offering and paying quite a lot for it. Why don't we get into the nosing now on the Balvenie 21 portwood. It's a very delicate nose. Not a lot jumps out at you straight away. I've actually poured it into my blender's glass, as you can see today, to try and concentrate the nose a little bit. There's fruit skins, subtle hints of milk chocolate, a little spiciness to it, even though it's 40%. Obviously concentrating it in the blender's glass, I am getting more of the ethanol funneled up to my nose. Absolutely, the walnuts are there. It's a very soft and elegant expression. You're getting the honey for sure. It's kind of like malt and honey with a touch of chocolate, a touch of those red fruits, the walnuts, and just a little bit of spiciness. Well integrated. I find it a little difficult to pull apart, and it's either that I'm looking for things that aren't there, or it just isn't there. Now, it doesn't have to be a complex whiskey. Even though it's 21 years old, it's not always the case that age equals more going on. It's just different, right? That's why sometimes you can have a 12-year-old or a 15-year-old whiskey or an 18-year-old that is way more incredible than, say, a 25 or a 30-year-old, or in this case, a 21-year-old whiskey. So I don't want my preconceived notions to mislead me on what this whiskey is actually revealing to me. Okay, let's try now on the palate with the Balvenie 21 portwood. Malt, bread, red fruits, dryness from the oak now, subtle notes of the chocolate, a little bit drying, finish is medium. It hangs around a little, but it's definitely not a long finish that they suggest that it is. It's and now it's gone. It's an elegant whiskey in that it's very soft and floral and fragrant, and I would say akin to it being a feminine whiskey. I'm not seeing it. I just don't get the hype behind it, or the reason that it's held in such high regard or high esteem. I've had very, very many whiskeys that are better than this. I'm gonna go one more sip and finish now, have one last impression of it. Yeah, maybe it's my palate. I don't see it, guys. I have to say I don't recommend this one. There's not a lot of complexity. There's not a lot going on. There's elements. It's nice whiskey. It's not bad whiskey. It's not great whiskey either. There's no way that I would pay $400 for this again. I wouldn't even pay $250 for this, if I'm being honest. Maybe if you said $180, I'd probably consider it. And I know that's a huge jump, but it's just not offering what I'm looking for in a whiskey, and that's the truth of it. It's not a lot of complexity. I would have to say it's not a masterpiece in my opinion. I would love to try it with a higher ABV at this age statement. I think there's a huge letdown for the price. I appreciate you guys being here, and if you like what I do, please subscribe to the channel, and make sure that you also check out this video I did recently as well. Thank you for being here. A pleasure as always. Slàinte mhath.